This interview is being presented by Intimidation Clothing. Impose your will. Uncivilize. Don't talk about it. Be about it. Be a beast among men. Adrenaline Training Center. Up your game. Change the way you train. TheDailyPunch.net. Have you gotten your Daily Punch? Area 51 Fight Gear and MMA Mind Power. Late Night MMA Radio is live Monday and Thursdays, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. Call into the show to win MMA merchandise. www.latenightmma.com. Join the revolution. Hey guys, we're back on the show. This is Late Night MMA Radio. I'm your host, Mark Anderson. We're unable to connect with Jesse Taylor, so we're just going to keep rolling on. Let's bring in the president of the MFC, Mark Pavelich. You there, man?
I'm here, fellas. What's shaking, man?
Not much, bro. Not much. What have you been up to tonight?
I'm in the laboratory mixing up potion. Put on the most exciting card in the history of MMA come May 4th live at the Mayfield Trade Center in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada.
The Black Prince, baby.
That's what I was doing tonight while Jesse Taylor's probably sleeping with his finger in his mouth.
Nice. So you've been talking a lot on Twitter and Facebook about these mismatches in MMA, how it'll hurt the sport. Want to talk a little bit about that?
It's a travesty. It's happening in Alberta, Canada, the most. It seems like lots of people that are running commissions are for the sole purpose of trying to pad their resume for political purposes and not for MMA purposes. And see, what I am, this is the only thing I'm really good at in life. I'm not good at anything else. I'm really good at this, though, right? And the thing is, you saw what just happened in Oklahoma. Now they're going to get rid of MMA there. And then I started thinking to myself that if somebody gets really injured in my country, that's going to be a big headache, right? And I'm the one that will suffer the most because I'm probably the only person in this whole country that does MMA for a living. Right?
For sure,
that owns a show. I'm not kidding. Yeah. So for me, it would affect me the most. So I live in fear every day because when I see fights, a guy that's 18 and 16 fighting a guy who's 2-1, I get scared, right? Because that's when something's going to happen, and then they're going to say, "Hey, who let this slip?" And nobody in the commission is going to admit to it, but I'm going to be out of business because it happened on someone else's card. And you can't even blame these wannabe promoters that get involved in the business because they're going to try to do shifty and stupid things all the time. It's the commission's job to stop them from doing it.
Right, for sure. And what do you think the answer is, like a higher bond or something along those lines?
No, that's not going to make the difference. The difference is it's clear is that if you're going to be part of a commission, listen, when did you ever hear of anybody that owned a show ever in this sport point this out like I just did the other day?
Right.
Never, because you know why? I'm the only one of the few people in this sport that's for the self-preservation of mixed martial arts before even the Maximum Fighting Championship, right? I want the sport to go on for the next 100 years, man. I don't just talk like I'm for the sport of MMA. I really am, right? I live it, breathe it. I live it, breathe it, sleep it, you name it. You call me at 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm up working in the MMA business. Call me at 7 a.m., I'm doing it, right? At the same time as if commissions are allowing this, then we have to revert it back to the promoter and say, come on, guys, please, really, stop doing what you're doing. Like, it's criminal. It really is. It's horrible. You need to stop it immediately, and it's going to kill our sport. If someone gets injured and it's a fair matchup, so be it. Right? That can happen.
Yeah.
But when you got a guy with 40 fights fighting a guy with 3 fights and it happens there, that's when you're going to have mass chaos go off if that person gets injured.
Okay, so we got Maximum Fighting 33 to talk about. This card has some awesome matches. Just talk to us about some of the fights you're really excited for.
Well, you know what? The first time ever in 13 years, this is the first ever real Maximum Fighting fight card ever. I've never had a show I'm the second longest running show in the world. Did you know that?
Okay, yeah, I actually heard you say that in an interview earlier today.
Yeah, it's true. It's a true story. People they have to start understanding that, and I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying that because that's an absolute truth. Now, the funny part is that I've never had a real MFC card. I've had a collective mix of MFC fighters, UFC fighters, Strikeforce fighters, kind of all mixed up into one. This is an MFC fight card. This is guys in the main event like Ryan the Kid McGilvery, who's had so many numerous fights in the Maximum Fighting Championship, fighting for the 170-pound title against a guy like Nathan Coy, who's under contract with the Maximum Fighting Championship. You know, those type of guys all the way down this fight card. You know, Mukai Moromo, he's an MFC guy. You know, if you've never even had the pleasure of watching a guy like him fight, it is absolutely euphoric, and at the same time that's why I got involved in the mixed martial art business, was guys like Mukai Moromo, you know, a guy like Dwayne Lewis, right? Adam Lynn, you know, I can just, you know, all these type of fighters, you know, Saba Fadai, like to watch this kind of guys fight, Diego Batista. These are guys, like, I've done it a million times. I've had Patrick Cote, Jason McDonald, Talas Ladies,
sure.
You name it. I can go through the gamut of guys fighting in my organization.
Yeah.
I want to put a fight card together where people are going to go, wow, right? And this is the fight card, right? And some people might say, well, where's all these guys that are, you know, you're from your roster, these bigger name guys? And I'm like, well, you know what? These guys like Dwayne Lewis that always put their guts on the line, Ryan McGilvery who always puts his guts on the line, guys like Saba Fadai, always, Mukai Moromo, always, Jamie Toney, you know, those are the guys that do it, and I'm putting a fight card with all of them all together.
Now, if I had to think of one guy that represents MFC more than any other, I guess I would have to go with Dwayne Lewis. Talk a little bit about him.
Well, he's the same as me. You know, he's the same as me. He's not got all the talent in the world, just like me, but he'll give you his guts, right? He'll give you his soul, and he'll win a lot, and he might lose a few, but he'll strap it back on and get back in the race, right? I think we were separated, or we were brothers in a different life, right? That's what my attraction's always been to him, right? Because he makes no excuses when he wins. He makes no excuses when he loses. He doesn't trash talk, you know, an overabundance of trash talk, and you're dealing with a guy that's a family man. You know, he could have took a different route, you know that, eh? He could have did like the rest of these pretenders in my country do. He could have went and fought on a much smaller show, fought a bunch of mismatched fights that they would have gave him. You know what, to be honest with you, Dwayne Lewis would probably been in the UFC 10 times over by now, but instead he he said, no, I'm going to fight in the biggest show in the country, one of the biggest in the world, and I'm going to really try to make it that way, the hard way, you know?
Yeah.
But you see all these other pretenders going around the block trying to do it the other way.
Yeah, that's
you know?
true. That's a good point, man.
Yeah. But he could, though. Don't be mistaken. Dwayne Lewis probably could have been in the UFC 10 times over by now, because he could have just went and fought cakewalk. And you know what? He's a man of character. And I use the word man. He's a man, right? Not a boy. He's a man of character. He's a man of class. He's a guy that always, never once in all the years that he's fought for the Maximum Fighting Championship said, hey, you know, Mark, I don't want to fight that guy, you know? But I can give you a list of famous guys that you know that were like, no, Mark, I don't want to fight that guy, you know? And I'm like, you have no shame, you know? And then when Dwayne Lewis ever wants to retire from the Maximum Fighting Championship, I'm going to give him a job, and the job's going to be, he's going to be my official matchmaker, because I want to see you say no to a guy that never said no before.
For sure, man, for sure. You know? Okay, let's talk a little bit about, obviously, you're stationed in Alberta. Can we expect a return to Ontario for the MFC?
Sure you can, right? And listen, I'm really trying to be politically correct this evening, you know, but at the same time as, you know, I had a show at Caesars Windsor that sold out, had 6,000 people, right? And then fans started wondering why we're not back at Caesars, you know? And of course, same with us. We kind of wondered too, you know? We were kind of wondering, like, why aren't we back there, you know? But what happens is you have shows from the United States that we went in for a significant amount of money when we did our show at Caesars, right? Yeah. And then you have shows from the United States that are supposed to be these big shows that go in there for nothing, right? For zero. And it's like, well, that's a problem. We can't go for zero. We can't go for zero. And I don't know, maybe because they're run by hedge fund companies that they can go in for zero, but we can't, right? And that's the reason why we haven't been back at certain places, right? But, you know, you look people say, what show's bigger between us and Bellator? I'll say the name now, okay?
Yeah.
Between us and Bellator, our Twitter numbers are higher. Our television numbers are higher, right? 6 times more people follow me on Twitter than the moron that runs their organization, right? He signs fighters from our organization that are under contract with the Maximum Fighting Championship and ignores the fact that he does those type of things, right? And then he expects that I'm not going to fight back. Listen, I never pick a fight in my life, never in my whole entire when I was a kid. But if you were a kid and you stole my ball, I was going to steal it back.
Watch out.
You know, so that's the moral of the story here. Don't drink the Kool-Aid that they serve over there. Don't believe the fake hype of what he creates. And we're a family that's built on blood, sweat, tears, and the belief of God, right, that bring us through to where we are today. 13 and a half years in the business, family-run business.
For sure, man. Okay, next up, here's the name game. Just tell me what pops into your head. Ken Hayashi, Ontario Athletic Commissioner.
First class, very professional.
Ryan Ford.
No comment.
Scott Coker.
Intelligent.
Dana White.
Godfather.
And finally, Antonio McKee.
Fraud.
Awesome, man. We appreciate you taking some time out for us tonight and talking about a variety of topics. Anything else you'd like to add?
You know, guys, follow me on Twitter, @Mark Pavlich, and at Maximum Fighting, and keep watching the Maximum Fighting Championship. And when you're ever bored, you know, grab yourself a Heineken and go to our website at MaximumFighting.com.
Awesome stuff, Mark. We appreciate it. That's the Black Prince.